Hey, it's 10 a.m. and this is Utah's best sports radio.
Say my name.
You're locked on to Scotty G and the coach, Tim LaComb.
You're damn right.
Presented by Mountain Land Supply on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Hey, guess what? They let us come back for another day. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone, Scotty G and the coach, Tim LaComb. You ready for round two?
Yeah, I thought for sure there would be somebody waiting where I swiped to my pass and said, that's all you get, dog.
It goes all red.
One day,
The
we
bars
found
come
out
down.
all about you, man.
All right, so there's a couple of moments where, just like any team, any fraternity, I don't want to say there's hazing, but there's initiation, so to speak. And you had your first dust-up with PK. And, PK just wants to argue for the sake of arguing. And you were talking about the route you used to come in and if he would do the same. And then he started screaming and yelling, why would I go that direction? You're going through essentially Ogden to get to the studios. And I'm like, I just sat back. I'm like, welcome to the team.
Welcome to the team, man.
Yep.
Well, and I told you, it's one of the things you miss. There's something about being on a team. And, you can be on a sales team, but at the end of the day, those guys, you're trying to one-up you all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
so you can only – this is just great because we're all trying to build each other, trying to build the station. It feels like more of a team that I'm used to.
But you also rib the heck out of each other.
You rib the heck out of each other, and you better have thick skin.
Yes.
I've learned that in a day. You better have very thick skin.
Especially when you got Lloyd barking at you for everything.
Well, it's
Why are you bringing me into this? I didn't do anything.
well, I did get barked at today.
Yeah,
for
like you
About?
sitting down in
you
your
put your
office.
backpack. You picked up a backpack and put it to the side, and then Lloyd lost his mind about it.
Well, I didn't realize it.
Oh,
was,
sure. Just throw my bag.
I'll buy my
Just
wife.
throw my bag to the side.
My wife will buy you a pedestal, and we can put that in there. And then
Okay.
the seat will always be available, and you'll feel more welcome.
See, that seat isn't for us; it's for his
Hey,
back.
when your office is smaller than Scotty's, it's a little bit.
oh,
you're
you
limited on
you
what
have
you
the
have.
much better office.
Okay.
Like it's cozy. You got better furniture.
This parking thing, though,
Yeah,
That has
congratulations on
changed
that.
my life. To be able to swipe a deal.
Homeboy got a number.
No.
Yeah.
Really?
I had no
Hey,
idea.
welcome to the club.
Where are you at number
I'm
wise?
telling you.
I knew you had a number.
I don't really have a number. I was testing to see if you'd give up the deets that you have a number.
He has a number.
I don't have a number.
I never had.
Oh.
I had a,
You park with the common folk?
I had a number when I was PD. And then Lloyd comes in there and gets booted one time, throws a fit, and then ends up getting
No more boots.
get a number.
No more boots.
Okay, our challenge will find his number.
Oh, it should be easy because you just go to the most expensive vehicle.
I don't have a tattoo yet. I'll tattoo his number.
Well,
right
I
here
don't
on
own
my
a
arm.
Mazda, so
Well, you should.
I know.
I mean, you
Too
won't-
classy. It's too classy.
No,
for me.
it's not.
It's-
You're like
yes, it's a very classy.
You look at Jake
vehicle.
and those Mazdas, and you're like, no, I'm going up. I'm going up. That's too much of a good deal for me. I need to spend way more than I should on a vehicle.
Great deals.
Deals. That's the other thing too. People make fun of how I say deals.
I know. I
Not
actually,
a dill pickle. Deals.
Deal.
I'm the only one that gets pointed out. We all say it. I'm the only one that gets thrown under the bus for this.
It feels good. No, it feels good.
Yeah.
It's an Idaho thing, dude. Right?
I
Ants
guess.
did it too.
Yeah. Make a big deal out of nothing. All right, we got a busy show for you. As always, Lloyd has done a tremendous job, or I guess Alex Napolis has done a tremendous job putting this show together. And so, let's get to it. Starting the lineup right now, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
It's time to kick off the show with the biggest headlines of the day. This is your starting lineup on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
So I thought it was a really interesting conversation DJ and PK had this morning. Where are you at right now in terms of your watching? Is it the NBA playoffs or the NHL playoffs? And I think the majority of people said NHL playoffs, but I think a lot of that is because you have a team locally that's in the NHL playoffs. Without the Jazz, sometimes I have a harder time dialing into the NBA playoffs, but last night, a bunch of really good games. And then I went through this morning and really busted through the play-by-play of each one of those. But that Denver-Minnesota game, are the Nuggets in trouble?
Well, it was very, very interesting because all season long in pre and post, we talk about the teams as they come through.
Yeah.
And you spend so much of your time with Denver talking about the Joker, rightfully so. I mean, he's kind of rewriting how that position is played. The first 5-man in history to have 6,000 or more assists, and he's still just going. But the big question with Denver's always been their defense.
Yeah.
And, that first run they had at the playoffs, they had Bruce Brown and KCP, and they had a little more length and tenacity. Right now, I don't know. Who would you say is Denver's stopper? And really, that's what Minnesota exposed. Denver got out 19, got out in front of them 19, and, the first quarter just put it on them. Minnesota answered in the second, tied the game. It was back and forth the entire game. But what stood out to me was it was the defense of Denver that continually broke down. And Minnesota just made a pattern of just trying to get to the rim on them. They were basically spacing and driving, and really it was all of them. They went after each and every one of them.
Well, and this is Jaden McDaniels after the game last night, because I thought this was a really telling, because a lot of times players will be like, oh, you know what, they're a good team, they fought hard, we just made a couple plays down the stretch. But sometimes the players will say things, and that's what's being said at practice. What that's being said at shoot-around. And this was Jaden McDaniels after the game.
Go out to Jokic, Jamal, all the bad defenders, Tim Hardaway, Cam Johnson, Aaron Gordon, the whole team. Just go at them.
They're all bad defenders.
Yeah, they're all bad defenders.
So just to consider that too, it feels like you guys constantly attacking.
Yeah, they don't got people that could defend the rim, and if he is there, we still more athletic than them, and just got to be able to finish when we do.
Is there a discipline involved in just staying in that attack mode?
Yeah, you gotta.
It works.
Yeah, just sometimes you gotta know when to attack and when the right moments, and just if it's your time to shoot it or pass it. But either way, if you just break the paint, you're gonna have a shot, or someone else is gonna be open.
So I follow a bunch of, I've got some friends and a bunch of people that I follow in the Denver media, and they're like, oh, this is bulletin board material. Oh, just wait till Adelman shows his team this, or they read this. Well, guess what? You don't become a great defender overnight. You can be mad about it all you want, but the fact is Minnesota may have just unlocked the key when it comes to going at Denver. And if you're more physical, you're more aggressive, and you're more athletic, go right at them. And that's what they did last night.
They did. And the fourth quarter was interesting because Gobert actually got played off the floor early in the game. And we've seen that in the playoffs. Teams space you out. Rudy's kind of on an island, and teams expose him. So he was a -10 after 9 minutes in that game. And, they're really utilizing space and kind of taking advantage of the way Rudy covers. And so, late in the game it was interesting because the fourth quarter they put him back in. And in the fourth quarter he was Rudy Gobert. Jokic and Murray combined for 2 baskets in the fourth quarter, which is just crazy. But the defense, the tenacity, I do think Minnesota probably unlocked something. And to your point, Cam Johnson ain't going to become,
he's not Bruce
a knockdown defender because so much of it is know-how and being in the moment. And a lot of guys they don't sell out in the regular season in the defensive end. And while Denver is historic in their offense this year, their offensive rating, they continue to rewrite the offensive rating numbers because they're so excellent on offense, but the defense is just going to hold them back. I do believe it. I think Minnesota should go back. Denver's got a champion spirit, so they'll fight, but you've got to give the advantage with that win last night and the way they did it to the Wolves.
I remember when I was playing high school football, and my coach was, I was playing a little bit at Garrard, and I was doing this trap block where I had to trap and come out the outside, and I was pulling. And my coach kept yelling at me. He's like, Gerard, you got to be faster there. I'm like, hey, look, I'm running as fast as I can. You know what? There ain't an extra gear here. This is all I got. Trust me, I'm giving you everything I got. I can't go any faster. And I think that's the same thing with the defense here. It's like, you know what? You can be angry. You can be upset. You can be offended. You can take it personally all you want. But if you can't learn how to be a good defender overnight, you can't learn the fundamentals and flip the switch and all of a sudden, okay, tonight, it's defense. No, if it's not part of your DNA, you just can't flip the switch there.
And honestly, Denver's a little like they remind me a little of our BYU teams sometimes, where we were a problem to guard.
Yeah.
But in terms of just ability to keep dudes in front, we were always in help, always in rotation, and that's where teams can take advantage of you. So, yeah, man, it looks like they say a series starts when the home team wins a road game.
Mm-hmm.
Man, and then with those comments, I'm looking forward to that's going to be a very good series all the way through. Advantage Minnesota based on what we saw last night.
So you're going to take Minnesota in this series now?
I am. Yeah. I just think Denver, the depth that they have is offensive depth. And so they don't really have guys that they can put out there to counter some of the things Minnesota did. The one thing that can happen is Denver can just put it in the hole and outscore you. They can definitely do that. But I think the defensive I thought they may get through a round depending on the opponent, but defense was always going to be the issue with them.
Anthony Edwards, 30 points, 10 rebounds, and I made a prediction that is not going to come true, but it doesn't diminish my thought. About 2 years ago, I said Anthony Edwards would be an MVP in 4 years. That's not going to happen, but it doesn't diminish who I think he is as a player, because when he's going and he's healthy and he's rolling, I think he's right there with anybody in the league.
Yeah, and he kind of got it going last night. He struggled early, but then he found himself, and he just has that big moment vibe to him. Some guys do, and he gets hopping around, and you just know what's going to happen. It's interesting in basketball coaching. You cross paths. I cross paths with so many of these guys as young guys, and I'll never forget Anthony Edwards. I was at an AAU game in Vegas, and I got there a little bit early, and so I went and watched the game before. And I was sitting on the baseline, and Leonard Hamilton, a longtime coach at Florida State, and a guy that just exuded ball. He's just a ball guy. And so I sat down next to him, and I didn't really say anything. He's watching the game. He saw my logo, BYU logo, and he said, "Hey, you at BYU?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Hey, tell me something. We recruited DeMarcus Harrison. How'd you guys get him?" And I said, "Well, there was a little religious factor there, Coach, whatever." And he just kind of laughed. He said, "We didn't been beat by BYU before." So we chuckled and laughed a minute. And I said, "Who are you here to watch?" And he said, "That young man shooting a free throw right there." And at the time, it was Ant. He was a junior. And he said, "That dude right there will be the number one pick in the draft when he comes out." I was like, wow. And he was trying to get him. He ended up going to Georgia, obviously. But he's a guy from the very beginning. First time I saw him, he has that star vibe. And it's interesting because I think the NBA is graduating more from the star carrying the day. You got to have a top end player, but man, the supporting cast is really important, and in this series kind of indicates that you've got to have a well-rounded roster.
Well, and so we've talked about Jaden McDaniels, we've talked about Anthony Edwards, but let me go through the plus minuses. And I know plus minus can be a little, especially when you look at individual games, can be a little funky, but Julius Randle, +6. Jaden McDaniels, +6. Rudy Gobert, -4. Anthony Edwards, even. He's at a 0. Kyle Anderson, +3. Naz Reid, -4. Mike Conley, +1. Dante DiVincenzo, +20.
Dude's a stud, man. I'm telling you.
So you got all those guys that are, anywhere in the range from -4 to +6. And Dante DiVincenzo, in the 31 minutes he's out there, he's not only the only player in double figures in plus minus, he's +20. That's insane when you have, usually you'll see people kind of hovering, lineups that are about the same. To have one player be so far ahead of everybody else is crazy.
Absolutely crazy. And I actually noted that last night watching him play. Like, those guys are so important to your team. I mean, you think about every great team, and yeah, they've got star power, but do you have a guy that will just go sell out? And DiVincenzo's that guy. I feel like for Denver, Brown kind of has some of those qualities too. But when you talk about making a championship team, like we talk so much about this lottery upcoming pick, which, by the way, the coin flip
how about that?
Went in the Jazz favor.
Which means that number 5 will be the number 1 overall pick.
Correct.
So congratulations, as the Memphis Grizzlies will have the number 1 pick.
The crazy thing to me is it does take the Jazz, right? The objective was to not convey that pick. That thing is done.
Yep.
You know, when you leave a Vegas table and the dealer shows you, like, this deal.
You wipe the hands and you're done.
You're done. There's no chips. There's no attachment. So that long nightmare is over, Lloyd.
There you go. It's done. No
About
more.
time.
Don't need to worry about Oklahoma City. They already got their free number 1 pick, free lottery pick. They don't need another one.
No, they don't. So that was big news. But as you know, we talk about these top picks. They're so important. But it's how do you fill around the edges? Like right now, we're moving into our house.
Yeah.
Putting stuff in, and my wife is, trying to figure out how to take all the stuff we had in our old house, put it in this one, make it look right. And so that's what the roster becomes. You got all the big stuff in there. Now it's just fine-tuning everything. And that's going to be exciting. Jazz are they're in a great spot for next year. And you watch the playoffs this year, it just makes my heart beat a little harder,
By the way, I don't think we can actually play the descriptor that Anthony Edwards had for Dante DiVincenzo. But he did describe his prowess, if you will, in this game last night. And in such a way that involved, some appendages, if you will. And but make no mistake, when you build a team, yes, you need stars. But the whole issue of having, like as you mentioned, your star-laden team with 3 superstars and then a bunch of jabronis, those days are over. Where now you can have one, and then it's like you have an A, you have a B, and then some C's, instead of having 3 A's and a bunch of D's. I mean, honestly, you're looking at a situation where as you build your team out from top to bottom, the team that's more well-constructed is certainly going to go further.
And you know who's very good at doing that because they've done it for a long time? And you look at Boston's roster, the way they found Luke Cornett and made him a player. He went and signed a big contract. But that is where knowing players, understanding what you need, and Austin Ainge is supreme at that. I will tell you that.
Yeah, no doubt. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
You're locked on to Scotty G and the coach, Tim LaComb. Presented by Mountain Land Supply on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. All right, you mentioned it in our first segment. Scott Garrard alongside the coach, Tim LaComb, the new show here on the Zone. By the way, every day from 10 to 2, and Jake and Ben on from 2 to 6. So, yeah, don't freak out. We just moved some things around, shuffling the deck chairs, if you will.
No reason to freak out.
No. But you mentioned the coin flip took place, and the Jazz actually won something for once. They won the coin toss, which means that they will be in that 4th slot when the lottery balls are handed out coming up on May 10th. But the most important thing is, even though it was just a 0.4 chance that the Jazz would give up that pick to Oklahoma City if they fell to 5, but winning the coin toss keeps them at number 4, which means they are guaranteed to hold on to their hold on to that draft pick this year. It would convey if they fall to 9, the worst the Jazz can be now is at 8, so you don't have to worry about that pick. The whole trade is now in the rearview mirror.
And it is it's big news. It was really kind of the main emphasis this season that kind of had to take place. And, it was, I don't know that it was ever that much in doubt, but, you read Twitter every night after the Jazz win a game and you would have to think otherwise. So a bunch of you out there that were feeding that fodder, chill out because everything's fine now. And yeah, so you move to the next phase. But I will say one of the biggest things that came out yesterday, I think, was that our show karma got tested day 1. We had the governor of the Jazz on a very pivotal day.
Yes.
Right before this supposed coin flip.
Supposed coin flip.
And he came in and he was on the show, and we have video proof of that. In fact, It was the same. He was at the same desk he was with McAfee the other day.
Oh, yeah. I in fact, part of me wants to ask him about the shoe background. Like, is that at the new facility? down in Southtown, or is that in his home? Like,
I think that might be in a Provo office.
because that shoe
That's real, right? That's not like
That's
one of
real.
those backgrounds.
that shoe display is rather impressive. And I'm not a shoe guy by any stretch. I mean, I enjoy a good pair of Dunks here and there, but I think those are of a different stratosphere as far as value goes.
Yeah, I think those are the ones that they take you into a room to buy.
Yes.
You know, you and I buy the ones in cellophane that are wrapped out front.
Yeah, on the bargain wall at the Nike outlet
Ooh,
store.
Look at those bad boys.
Yeah.
I bought a pair of golf shoes one time, and it was kind of in the beginning of the Tiger Woods rage. And, I just thought any Tiger shoe is a Tiger shoe.
Yeah.
And I was living in Austin, Texas, and working with a guy named Steve Wynn.
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Steve Wynn, a Mr. Mac fan.
I got a text from him, too, over the last couple months.
Steve's big. But anyway, I show up to the course with my new shoes on, and I become, like, he looks at me, and he's like, did you buy those at, like, Hush Puppy? Is that a Hush Puppy Tiger Woods shoe? And he would not let me play with their group in those shoes.
Wow, really?
He said, go basically put a pair of shoes on my account. I got some FootJoys so I could fit in with the boys. But I'll never live that one down. They were brown. They were so ugly, but I was proud of them because they were Tiger Woods shoes.
Yeah. And he's like, no.
I actually remember those awful.
They were bad.
Brown Tiger Woods.
They were horrible.
Yes.
But they had the little TW logo on them, so should be fine, right?
That is not the case. So, yeah, you do. There are levels to shoes.
Oh, yeah.
And those shoes are real. But I guess back to my point, we had him on. It was a pivotal day. The coin flip went the right direction for him, which means we gave him karma. He came here. We shared it. So I think that should be something to take note of.
No pun intended.
You're such a company man.
No, I'm not.
Lloyd's going to beat you up if you use take note.
I didn't mean to use it in that.
Yeah, but you did.
See, here's the thing.
Alex head popped back through the like, whoa.
You know what? The great thing is about Lloyd is that he has an ear for anything that he can make fun of you about. And so, like,
it's a curse.
It
really is.
There'll be times where I'll be, like, in the middle of a question, and I start stumbling like crazy because I know the way I was going to say it, Lloyd would turn it into a drop. So I'm like, oh, I can't do that. Can't say that. Oh, no, can't say that. And so, yeah, it throws you off your game a little bit.
I'm shocked there's not a drop already of when I said, I think I had more money than you. He's like, I don't think that
should be a
ever
drop.
happened.
That absolutely should be a drop.
Trust me, we're working on it.
Okay. Because that was actually, in hindsight, there was no way on God's green earth they had more money than him at that time.
But that was funny that Ryan was even like, okay,
Easy.
like we're boys.
Calm down.
We're boys.
Easy,
but let's set the record straight here.
Tim, you've never eclipsed me in that department.
The other fact, you know what we did screw up on, though? And that's the thing on this show. We're always ready to own up to our mistakes. I screwed up on this. I know you mentioned that you were going to ask, and we didn't get to it. We didn't find out who's going to be representing the Utah Jazz at the NBA Draft Lottery. I still believe it should be Ron Boone.
That would be so cool.
Because Booner's like the coolest dude on the planet. If Booner can't do it, I think it should be Bowler, because Bowler's like a Jazz institution. I like the idea of just bringing out the bear and having Ryan wearing the suit. And if the Jazz get the number 1 overall pick, he rips off the head. And
if not, he just does the bear like disappointment, shoots off a little confetti
Shoots
gun.
Adam Silver with the cannon.
Yeah. With a shirt
cannon and walks out. Wouldn't that be good?
See, you want entertainment? This is an entertainment league?
I got viral right here in my confetti dispenser.
Show you. But when you look at this draft, everybody talks about the top 3 of the draft. But let's say worst case scenario, worst happens, and the Jazz are picking 8. There's still quality players at 8 that you're not going to get in other drafts in the NBA.
No, I mean, oftentimes you hear it often that the draft is 3 or 4 deep, on the high level. You're talking at 7, 8, you're talking about a guy like Kingston Flemings, who, as I watch tape on him, that dude is he's remarkably good.
Yeah.
And he's got a lot of the same feel to me as kind of Keontae had. He's got a little more burst. He played for a coach that demanded some things. So his assist-to-turnover ratio is ridiculously good. Nate Ament from Tennessee, who
big fan of his.
Big fan of his. He had a great year. 6'9", another big, long. You talk about length. You want to add length. He's sitting there. Guy like Mikel Brown from Louisville, Phylon from Alabama. So yeah, you drop down into the 8 area. You're probably looking at that. And then honestly, a guy like Wagler, maybe people aren't as high on him. He drops a little bit. We've seen that before. I didn't think Ace Bailey would get to where the Jazz were last year.
No, not at all.
But you just never know with draft drama. So, yeah, there are players there. And the guy I got my eye on early for the Jazz, if they end up landing in that kind of 4 or 5-ish range, is Caleb Wilson.
Yeah.
He just, as I watch tape on him, he just does things that you can't teach. And, again, you're talking about 6'10", 215. So, versatile guy who can cover a lot of ground, got a great skill set. It's going to be exciting to see where they land because there are dudes there.
Is there when you get into that, let's say, again, worst case scenario, you're in that 6, 7, 8 range, do you start drafting for position or do you always go best player available?
I think you go best player available. For the Jazz right now, they have so many of the bases covered that – you go with best player available and you figure out a way to use them. And the one thing I do know, having watched this Hardy operation for the time that he's been here, they develop guys. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's a 10-day guy or if it's a guy that's firmly in their plans or a star. They're working to try to improve that player. And I know that sounds like, oh, no, duh. But it doesn't happen in the NBA like it happens here. They do a tremendous job of evaluating guys to understand where they can grow and then making them grow. I've been impressed with that. So just another exciting thing because this has all been during a rebuild. Yeah. But, you can see where if these guys continue to grow, Sensabaugh, Flip got better. Collier got better. It's exciting. And Cody Williams is another guy who got better. I know he's got a long way to go yet, but if you would have told me in year one that he'd have done what he did at the end of the season, I'd tell you were crazy. But it does take guys a little time. Development isn't linear. And so it's I'm telling you, the sky is the limit, and it's so bright in Jazz's world right now. I don't know that people realize how bright it is.
Because I think people have A.J. DeBonsa on their brain, and rightfully so. Like, the kid's going to be phenomenal. But you don't have to, or nor should you, put your eggs all in one basket. If you don't get that number 1 overall pick or number 2 overall pick, the world is not coming to an end.
No, that's the beautiful part about this. And if you're not getting 2 or 3, the world doesn't come to an end. There's guys where the Jazz are going to draft, and thank goodness they can't drop below now and be where that pick could be Oklahoma City's. So all that is safe. And then now they really have to study, the guys that they feel like will be there, that will fit. And we'll wait to see how the lottery balls bounce to see what numbers by their name.
I don't know if I talked to you about this on the air. There were, over the last NCAA tournament stuff, there were a lot of friends that came through here. But I purposely hung around and in San Diego and watched Darren Peterson for Kansas.
Yeah, I'm curious what you thought.
And obviously the skill set is phenomenal. I mean, a skill set that is absolutely worthy of being in the conversation for the number 1 overall pick. I could tell he wasn't right from a body standpoint in terms of health. You could tell that he was 75, 80%, that he wasn't healthy. But also, and I want to be careful when I say this because I don't want to make any assumptions because this could be based on his health. It could be based on a number of different factors. I don't necessarily believe it makes him a bad teammate, but his body language wasn't good. And there could be a lot of differing factors out there as to why that was the case. He had a head coach that was riding him hard, and he had teammates that weren't necessarily the best facilitators for him. And I think he was caught in a weird situation. Now, is he a good teammate? I don't know. I'm not going to make a judgment based on what I just saw on the outside looking in one game, watching him courtside. But the body language was off. There's no doubt. And the body wasn't right in terms of health. But if he's in a good place mentally and he's healthy, he could be the best player in this draft.
Yeah, and that's what's so crazy about the draft. And it's what's so crazy about recruiting And it puts into context what Bronco was trying to say yesterday by, having 24-hour visits and having to sign 31 guys. How well do you really know them? What kind of teammate will they be? This obviously, the NBA, they investigate. They pour a ton of money into it. They talk to everybody they can. I used to have to do interviews as an assistant coach for an hour at a time with NBA teams with guys who were just fringe players. So they will turn this Peterson thing up and down. And the one thing I will say is you don't know the full story. Ace Bailey was in the middle of a lot of this talk last year. I will say I would have a hard time off of what I saw this year, feeling really good about picking him at that spot with the other guys that are out there, unless I had better intel. Because when you see him in the tapes where he's just free and easy and playing, his upside is probably higher than anybody in the entire draft.
Totally agree.
But it's getting that, and then what all comes with it. I do know the guy he works out with. He works out with Damian Lillard's guy, Phil Beckner, who was at Weber State for a long time. And, Phil swears by him. And so I'm curious to see it play out, but I don't know how it's going to – he could be one of those guys that drops. He could be one that instantly people understand what he is and he's just been hurt or whatever else he's been dealing with. But that will be one of the bigger intrigues of this draft is where Darren Peterson ends up.
So forget about what he did his rookie year in the NBA. Somehow take that all out of your mind and let's just go back to last year and know who Cooper Flagg was with his 1 year at Duke. Would Cooper Flagg be the number one pick in this year's draft?
I don't think so. I think he had an incredible year, but I'm curious to see. I think it's going to be AJ, but with Boozer winning, the national championship, or not the Player of the Year award, and with the name and the lineage, that could always kind of throw things off. I think over the course of time, AJ is going to be a better pro than Flagg, and I think it's just because of. He's got a little more wiggle. He's got a little more burst. He's got to learn to become a better playmaker, as guys come to him. But I see him being a guy that can, I think he probably in time will be a better player than Cooper Flagg.
This is what I loved about AJ's year this year because Kevin Young has mentioned this. Alex Jensen, I interviewed him just a couple months ago, right before the end of the season. And I've asked both these guys, how hard was it to go to the NBA, to the college game, and deal with the lack of spacing and the freedom of movement and that ability to really allow individual athletes to succeed at this level? And they were like, it's a problem. It absolutely was a problem. And there's a reason why guys average 12 to 16 points a game in college and then go to the NBA and average 26, 27 points a game because – their athleticism and their skill set is more suited for an NBA game than a college game. They're just different games. And so for AJ to put up the numbers that he did at the college game makes me think when he goes to the NBA, watch out.
Yeah, because, he may not play in a ton of space right away depending on the situation he goes to. But, the space in the NBA, that is what makes the Jazz roster next year so enticing. As the great Rick Majerus used to say.
Here we go.
Spacing is offense, and offense is spacing. And it's just the truth.
Offense.
Because the whole point of the game, Scotty, is to get two on the ball. Mm-hmm. You set a ball screen. If that guy with the ball drags it out long enough and two guys have to be on the ball, and you move it quick, that's the name of the game. A guy's playing on the receiving end of that with space. And to your point, teams double-teamed. They set a guy right at the nail a lot of times where AJ does most his work, kind of in that mid-range. They set a guy there, and he had to fight bodies all the time. Early in the NBA, he'll probably see bodies because he won't have a ton of true spacing around him. But as he develops and spacing becomes more his, you're right. That can be scary.
1048, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Scotty and the coach, Tim LaComb, right here on the Zone. Coming up next, what you may have missed right here on the Zone.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy to see if you could save when you bundle your home and auto policies. Try it at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.
Jazz, the Mammoth, and the Utes, Cougars, and Aggies. When it comes to sports in Utah, we've got you covered. This is Scotty G and the coach, Tim LaComb, presented by Mountain Land Supply on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. What you may have missed, all brought to you by Paris RV. It's the huge RV blowout sale this Wednesday through Saturday at the Provo Town Center. 10 a.m. to dusk, used RVs from all over the country have been sent to the Provo Town Center with millions of dollars of high-quality used RVs ready to go. More information at UtahRVEvent.com. Get there and let's go. You know that's like my dream, right, is to have an RV and just me and the missus, and we just drive all over the country, and I enter every barbecue competition. I know. It seems like a very low bar.
No,
for what I want to do in my
sounds
life.
Fascinating, and
You don't have to lie. It's all right.
No, it does. I mean, for me, it would be if I was in an RV, I'd just go around to concerts.
Yeah.
We all have our penchant.
Mine just happens to be in the middle of nowhere. There's a big one in Arizona coming up that I want to go to, but it's like a 10-hour drive to Arizona, and I'm like, nah, I'm not gonna. And it's like in the middle of nowhere, Arizona. But they've got a huge purse. It's like a $15,000 purse. I'm like, that might be worth the drive, but
Give it a try.
yeah.
Well, you better make some stuff and try it out.
You got a good
Lloyd
crew
and I.
running things.
It's just me and my boys.
Yeah, no, you got a good. That's why I'm saying you got a good crew running things.
I gotta get Coach some XIX barbecue gear though.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah, that's
with a patch all the way on the armpit.
Hey, I paid good money for those.
I know you did.
What,
Hey,
did
I
they mess
love
them
it.
up?
I wear it all the time. It's my favorite.
Yeah, we had some work done with some hoodies and some shirts, and I had the logo right here. And by the way, XIX, that was my family brand when we had cattle. My great grandpa, it was XIX, and so anyway, the logo but was way over here on the side. So when you put your arm down, you wouldn't see the logo.
And I'm sure he had made a comment about it.
Yeah, just once or twice. Yep.
I didn't.
Oh.
No. There might have been somebody else that did.
Yeah. We'll go get another order in. We got to get that out there. All right, what you may have missed again right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. We're going to talk about Game 2. Jay Stevens is going to join us coming up here in a moment. But NHL playoffs continue last night, and another slate of good games. It took hold on, let me pull up my scoreboard, just refreshed on me. But the one that was really fun last night, double overtime. The Hurricanes end up getting the win over the Senators 3-2. The Oilers knock off the Ducks 4-3. And then the Stars over the Wild 4-2, and it was the Flyers blanking the Penguins 3-0. But again, all that we really care about right now is what happens tonight in Las Vegas as the Mammoth will be taking on the Golden Knight. Mammoth had it right there, chance to win, up 2-1 in the third period, but unable to hold on. And now they'll try to get the split coming up here tonight. You feel good about this one?
I do. I felt like they played with them, and I hearing Coach afterwards talk about he's proud of them for having their minds in the right spot. A couple of tough plays, the penalty that set up the goal, and the turnover. That turnover, they got to be a little stronger with the puck. But I thought in terms of just watching them play, they were in the game.
Yep. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Now at McDonald's, a McDouble is $2.50, so you can get your gym gains on, or just get lunch for only $2.50. Get more value on the under $3 menu.
Limited time only. Prices and participation may vary. Prices may be higher for delivery.
I'm here on the job site with Dale, who's a framing contractor.
Hey, good morning.
Dale traded up to Geico Commercial Auto Insurance for all his business vehicles. We're here where he needs us most.
Yep, they sure are.
We make it easy for him to save on all his insurance needs, all in one place, with coverage that fits his business and bottom line. Oh, I shouldn't have looked down.
It's all right.
We're so far up here.
Look at me. Take a deep breath.
No, I'm good. So good.
Get a commercial auto insurance quote today at geico.com and see how much you could save. It feels good to Geico.